Hello everyone, welcome to the 2020-21 school year. After so many months of school disruption and uncertainty due to the pandemic, I see the recording of this message a step in the right direction. Though amidst the excitement and energy that I typically experience on the return to school day and being in front of you inside the auditorium, I now feel more hopeful and connected to the work ahead of us. As in the past, the new school year brings new faces to the Hudson Public Schools team. I would like to recognize Dan Gale, our new Finance and Operations Director, Jennifer Allard, our new Human Resources Director, Ariane Levinson, my new Executive Assistant, and we're also welcoming over 20 new teaching and support staff. Every new hire joining the district possesses skills and credentials that matches the expectations of our school district. Regardless of one's position or work discipline, every member of the Hudson school community provides a vital service to our students and families. That's how we are able to fulfill our mission of delivering world-class education today for the global leaders of tomorrow. As I mentioned earlier, it's been months of disruption and uncertainty for all of us. Our personal and professional lives have been transformed since mid-March. We all acknowledge that these are and will continue to be unprecedented times. Yet, it is unimaginable what we have been through. There have been so many personal difficult circumstances, hardships, personal sacrifices, loss of loved ones, and we also endured the loss of a beloved colleague. This pandemic has created an endless emotional roller coaster that continues to occasionally take us for a ride. This summer, I chose to read a book by Mark Brackett titled Permission to Feel, Unlocking the Power of Emotions to Help Our Kids, Ourselves, and Our Society Thrive. In this book, Mark explains that strong negative emotions, such as fear, anger, anxiety, hopelessness, tend to narrow our minds as if though our peripheral vision has been cut off because we're so focused on the perils that's front and center. To be honest, on many occasions during the ordeal of closing schools in the spring and during the summer planning months for the reopening of schools, I felt that it was so easy to just focus on the perils of the pandemic and lose track of the overall picture. However, we are not programmed to think that clearly. The feeling of anxiety that we are all experiencing regarding returning to school is real, potentially impactful, and we need to manage these feelings by relying on what we know. Mark describes it as feelings are a form of information. They are like news reports from inside our psyches, sending messages about what's going on inside the unique person that we are in response to whatever internal or external events we are experiencing. We need to access that information and then figure out what it's telling us. That way, we can make the most informed decisions. Hopefully, as the pandemic in Massachusetts continues to trend in a positive direction and our lives return to a new normal, we will be able to better understand our thoughts and feelings to help us make the most informed decisions. In the meantime, we need to recognize that we are returning to work in a completely different way, under new circumstances, heightened expectations, and a new set of demanding protocols that do not resemble our past practices. We are returning to work with an unsettling feeling that this start of school year also means to leave behind things that were familiar to us and practices that we have always known. We are returning to work certainly much more vulnerable than ever before, and definitely anxious to know what the days ahead will look like and feel like. We are returning to work, pondering how this newly restored portion of our lives will be managed and how it will impact us. More importantly, we are returning to work today, hopeful that the feeling of anxiety and uncertainties of what's next will soon begin to disappear, and will become completely overshadowed by the joy of having our students in front of us again. We are in this together, and together we got this. For the next 10 days, we will be engaged in activities designed to improve our collective pedagogical practices, sharpen our technological skills, and align our curriculum to deliver the best remote learning experience we are capable of delivering. During the next 10 days, we have set aside large chunks of time for a variety of learning and planning activities. Each day, you engage in some self-care activities that will be easily transferable to your students. You will be given all the safety protocols for your individual buildings and have time to process these with your colleagues. We have identified several key remote learning practices that will guide your professional learning over the next 10 days. The Technology Task Force has created a document that will allow each staff member the opportunity to choose the type and level of technology training that fits his or her needs. Along with this, in order to ensure that all staff has the most important tools for the remote learning portion of their classwork, we have identified a few must-dos that each teacher will need to complete by the end of the 10 days, with plenty of exploration time for these tools. We have also set aside each afternoon for planning and collaboration. Our hope is that you take advantage of this time to work with your colleagues to share the load in planning and have at least 6 weeks of work completed. This will give us a head start to the weekly planning you will have each Wednesday afternoon once the students are back. Throughout the next 10 days, the curriculum team will also offer office hours for collaboration and information purposes. The importance of technology integration, which is part of District Improvement Plan Strategic Priority 3.2, has never been more critical than it is now. We have been busy for the reopening of schools, for your arrival and the arrival of our students in a couple of weeks. The health and safety of our students and staff have been our main priority throughout the planning process for the reopening of schools. We relied on every relevant data indicator available. We followed every guidance issued by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Department of Public Health, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and we listened to authorities from the health and medical fields. As a result, we feel comfortable with the preparations and modifications we established in our buildings and the protocols we have created to safely reopen our schools using the hybrid learning model. We understand that air quality was a major concern to all of you. We commissioned a reputable organization to conduct an evaluation of our school's HVAC systems. As a result, recommendations were presented in 2 tiers. We are addressing all recommendations in Tier 1 and have allocated over $200,000 in funding to address recommendations in Tier 2, which includes the installation of the needlepoint bipolar ionization technology that will enhance the existing filtration system by neutralizing pollutants, dust, allergens, mold, bacteria, and viruses in each classroom and workspace in our buildings. We have secured large quantities of personal protection equipment to support our school operations. We have purchased disposable and fabric masks, clear view masks, N95 masks, face shields, disposable gowns and gloves to ensure that any staff assisting students in situations that require close contact or physical interaction with the students have the proper PPEs. All learning spaces have been modified to ensure that the 6 feet of distance is observed between student desks in every classroom. All classrooms have also been equipped with hand sanitizers. Lastly, a building sanitization protocol has been devised for the day and night shifts. In addition to the deep cleaning that will occur nightly to include the Gen-Eon mist treatment, every classroom, nurse's office, and other areas will be provided with sanitizers on-demand needs. Once students return to school and the school year progresses, we will monitor the COVID-19 status weekly in our schools, locally and at the state level. We will communicate with you and our families of any positive COVID cases in our schools, along with the appropriate course of action for all parties involved. We are also starting the year with many customary activities and practices on hold, such as open houses, parent conferences, and extracurricular activities. Once the year is underway, we will evaluate the appropriate time to resume these practices. Finally, I would like to thank you in advance for adhering to our social and professional responsibility to maintain the safety of our buildings. Our collective attention and care in monitoring social distancing, the proper use of masks, and hand hygiene will make our home away from home healthy and safe. I also want to emphasize the need for self-monitoring and reporting. This is a critical daily step for all adults and families. By working together, we will achieve the best results. As the superintendent of schools, I have the full duty and responsibility to care for the health and safety of every member of our school community. My ethical and professional practices are anchored on decisions that are based on reliable information, accurate data, lessons learned from past experiences, and a hint of my own gut feeling. I will continue to be thoughtful, mindful, and care for your health and safety, and for the health and safety of our students. The year ahead of us will be fluid, and for that we have to show our flexibility and nimbleness. I depend on all of you to make this school year a successful one. I depend on all of you to show our families and students that we got what it takes to overcome adversity. 2020 has not shown much kindness to us, but we are a strong community, we are resilient, and we will make this work together. I also want to send my deepest gratitude to Kathy Provost and the leadership team for their continued support and for the endless amount of work accomplished thus far. I wish you all a successful year, and I can't wait to visit your classrooms and see our students back in action. Have a productive professional development training. See you soon.